At AirLink, our number one priority is the safety of our crew, fellow EMS providers, and patients. Together, we can work to achieve a safe and efficient way to set up and operate in an LZ. In this video, we're going to talk about how you, the EMS provider, can help us in preparation of a helicopter landing zone. Once the decision has been made to have your patient transported by helicopter to the appropriate facility, there are a few things that need to be done before the helicopter arrives at the scene. When surveying the scene, use these points to help you determine the feasibility of the chosen LZ. When selecting a landing zone, consider the size, surface, obstructions, accessibility, with taking note of what is in between the patient and the LZ, as in ditches, fences, creeks, and other obstacles that you may need to carry him or her over to the helicopter. We also need to consider weather, hazmat situations, and the crew will need the GPS coordinates. For the size, we prefer more than 100 feet by 100 feet. If the landing zone is a road, ensure that any wires are at least 35 feet off of the road. And at night, plan for a larger LZ than normal. As for the surface, flat and firm with a maximum 8-degree slope. Make sure the surface is free of any obstructions such as bushes, snowdrifts, big rocks, and fences. As for the surface condition, note any snow, dust, wet or muddy, or loose debris. Remember, powdery snow and dust are more hazardous at night. A more thorough recon of the area is required. As for obstructions, be aware of anything in the air or on the ground that can be hit or hit the helicopter. Ensure the landing zone is free of terrain obstructions like hills, trees, wires, or buildings. Ensure there are no fences, delineator posts, signs, mailboxes, or livestock in the area. Nighttime obstacles over 100 feet high should not be within 1/4 mile of the landing zone. Please communicate all known hazards to the pilot. What is the number one threat to a landing EMS helicopter? It is wires. For any hazmat situations, the landing zone must be 1/4 mile upwind from any contaminated location. If the substance has been identified, please alert the crew. And remember, contaminated patients must be decontaminated before transport. Keep the landing zone clear from pedestrian and auto traffic. Keep the public back 300 feet. Keep any rescue apparatus back 100 feet. Do not allow any vehicle or pedestrian traffic near the landing zone from prior to landing until after departure.
AirLink 1, this is MS52 Medic 16. I'll be your LZ coordinator.
LZ coordinator, I'm ready to copy. LZ brief when ready.
AirLink 1, the LZ is going to be located between the ambulance and the Suburban, about 15 feet south of the dirt road. You'll notice that there are power lines to the west of the LZ, however they do not extend into the LZ. There is little to no slope. The wind is out of the southwest at approximately 15 miles per hour. There is a blue pole about 3 feet high to the west of our location, and the grass is approximately 12 inches long in the LZ.
Okay, roger that.
No wires in the LZ, and there's some grass there to deal with, and wind out of the southeast.
Approximately 5 minutes, AirLink 1.
Copy that, AirLink 1, and when you arrive at the LZ, you will see me with my back to the wind facing the LZ.
Okay, roger that. Looking for you in the LZ. AirLink 1 out.
When approaching the helicopter, always approach from a 10 to 2 o'clock position after making eye contact and receiving a thumbs up from the pilot. Ensure that all loose equipment is secured, no equipment is above shoulder level, and that if using a stretcher with wheels, ensure that someone has control of the stretcher at all times so that it does not roll into the helicopter or worse, the tail rotor. If there is adequate personnel, place one person at the 10 o'clock position so that they can guard the tail rotor and be in view of the pilot. Once the patient has been loaded, proceed out from under the rotor disc the same way that you entered. When working around a running helicopter, there are several hazards that can be very dangerous but are hard to see. Here are a few of the safety rules that need to be followed. Never walk past the rear portion of the fuselage where it attaches to the tail boom. If the helicopter is on uneven terrain, always depart downhill so as not to inadvertently walk into the main rotor blades. And if you drop any papers or loose articles that start to blow away, never chase after them. And under no circumstances should you ever go near the tail rotor. What to know about rescuing us, the crew. If able, the crew will exit after the blades stop turning. The crew will then meet at the 12 o'clock position off of the nose. If the crew is unable to exit, do not approach until the main rotor and tail rotor blades stop moving. If we are on fire, please extinguish us. To open the doors, pull handle up and open. Cut the fuel supply to the engine and ensure all toggle switches are back. The easiest way to shut the helicopter down is to shut the fuel off to the engine. This is done by moving the fuel cutoff switch to the cutoff position, then all overhead switches to the rear position. FYI, the engine might take up to 20 seconds to shut down after the fuel valve has been switched to the closed position. If your hospital uses a ground-level helipad, ensure that the helipad has been secured so that no one can have access while the helicopter is landing, and all non-essential personnel or general public are kept well clear of the helipad while the helicopter is at your facility. If your facility has a rooftop helipad, ensure that no one is allowed on the pad until the helicopter has landed. At AirLink, we have the ability to offload the helicopter both hot and cold. A hot offload is when the helicopter is still running during the patient offload. Conversely, a cold offload is when the helicopter is offloaded with the helicopter shut down. When the helicopter is offloaded hot, do not approach the helicopter until a member of the flight crew proceeds out to get you. When approaching the helicopter, ensure that no equipment is higher than shoulder level, i.e. IV poles, etc. Ensure that all equipment is secured at all times. And never walk to the rear of the helicopter. For safety, the flight crew will direct all loading and unloading of patients and equipment. The flight crew will open and close all helicopter doors. A gurney for loading the AirLink stretcher should be available and should always be free of sheets, mattresses, or any loose articles. Someone should be in charge of a cot at all times to prevent it from going into the tail rotor. Carry long items horizontally and all items below head level when approaching the helicopter. The use of hearing and eye protection is encouraged to protect individuals from high noise levels and flying debris caused by rotor wash. A designated person shall be in charge of safety and security and shall maintain radio communication when the helicopter is landing, running while on the ground, and departing.